I think it was the concept of me initially going on a silent retreat was not so daunting for myself, but it was quite daunting for my friends and family who wondered how I could do this and go for 7 days without talking. But the thing that prompted me to go was I met somebody who was so present, palpably present, like you said, palpably present. There was a presence around them, and I didn't know what it was. But I knew I wanted that in my life, that calmness, that presence that we were just talking about. And I signed up for one not too far from you in upstate New York. And I went, and before I knew it, within 3 months of being interested in meditation, I was in a silent retreat. And it's interesting because just because you physically don't talk, just because there's no noise coming out of your mouth, doesn't mean you stop the verbal conversation that's going on in your head. It's always there. And that was a surprise to me, just to see how noisy it was inside my head.
Welcome to Your Next Big Project is You, a podcast based around the theme of time. Time to be able to press pause on life. Time to reevaluate what's important. Time to reminisce about where you've come from, what you've learned, and what you've accomplished. Time to revisit your goals, dreams, and vision. And time to remember the people in your life. That's it, my friends. If you've got time, fasten your seatbelt and listen in as we discuss opportunities for the next 5 to 25 years of your life. And remember, your next big project is you.
Welcome to our podcast. Your next big project is you. I am really privileged and blessed today to have an old friend, an old client, a former client of mine, Leonie Tyler, joining us from the Toronto area today. It's rare when you get somebody that's truly talented from having a strategic mindset, the intellectual capabilities. But when I've always said, when you open up the zipper on someone's chest and reach in and touch their heart and soul, what I love about Leonie is absolutely one of the nicest, one of the kindest people, and someone who truly lives the principles of mindfulness, who gets it, who practices it, and who is on her game every single day. It's made me a better person as a result of our friendship and coaching me and guiding me. And I really believe it's going to be great for our listeners today. So Leonie, welcome. Really great to have you here today.
Thanks, Leo. It's lovely to be with you. That was a lovely opening for me. I could say the same things about you and our friendship over the years. So thank you.
Well, we've had the pleasure to meet, work with each other, give or take about 15 years ago. You've had significant strategic positions in your career. I'm thinking at Bank of Montreal, Canadian Pacific, and now in the C-suite at an organization called SI Systems in Canada as well. Leonie, tell us a little bit about your journey. I'm curious, what are some of the best leadership traits that you've learned from others?
My journey, like I spent 25 years with Bank of Montreal, and I was very fortunate in my career to work with leaders, actually in all the companies I worked with, that were very authentic. And really, to me, that shows how authenticity comes out is you're seeing who they are in that moment. And there's also this kind of lack of self-importance, which was something that's always appealed to me, is more authenticity around that. And what I discovered over my career was that meaningful connections were what was most valuable to me. Meaningful connections that in the workplace that also ended up extending beyond the workplace. And then, reciprocity in how you deal with people. And it's not just a take. So it's that give and take. So the growth was really important to me, and to be your best. I mean, you know what that's like, Leo. You coach that, you work with that every day, and to help people grow. And that through my career has been my mantra. I was also looking for people that were looking for ways to improve, that were kind of leading edge ways, whether that was leading edge ways to grow businesses, to grow themselves. I also ended up getting into technology. Leading edge technology helped people grow as well. And so I think all of these things for me, when I look at it, they all come down to leaders that support and enhance a culture of growth, a culture of respect, of fun. You've worked with me in many different aspects of my career, um, and caring. Having that you feel that someone's caring for you. And I'm going to use a word that most people don't use in business a lot, but I do, and it's love, because it's actually that deep respect and love for the people that you work with, whether it's in a challenging situation, it's a joyous situation, but to do it with a heartfelt kind of feeling of respect and love.
It's amazing when you talk about authenticity. I love it. The lack of self-importance that I captured here, meaningful, meaningful relationships, reciprocity, um, innovating and thinking like this. And you've always been one of those people, especially maybe with your always looking at strategy and how an organization can improve and embrace change and being innovative. And like you said, with technology now, it's really cool to see that manifest on a day-to-day basis. And then when you bring in these principles of just caring and people, I don't know why are they afraid to use the word love in the organizational dictionary, for instance. It's interesting. Let's build off of that. My next question was one of the things that I've always admired about you, and I believe that caring, and being present, and that just that genuine a feeling of friendship when caring about other people is it's been packaged around this concept of mindfulness. When I think of you, how do you explain mindfulness and that principle to others from the way you live it, the way you studied it?
We just spoke about like different technologies and things that could help things grow. I discovered in my life, one of the technologies or one of the things that could help me grow was mindfulness. And really, I found this through meditation. And how I would describe it is to be present in the moment with no judgment. So just to be aware, it doesn't mean you have to sit on a cushion. It doesn't mean you have to go to a silent retreat. I have done those and I quite enjoy them. But it's like it's being with what is right now without judging, without trying to change it, without accepting for what's here right now and being with that. Is to be as present as possible. And it's to increase your awareness just of what's going on around you. Sometimes we're so busy in our heads that we're not aware of actually what's happening around us. And this is something, it isn't something you do. It's actually a way of life, right? So it's a journey, not a destination. So it's not like you do this and you've got it and then you tick it off. It's actually becomes a way of life. And so for me, that's how I look at it. It's a tool that tool is an interesting word, but it is something that I practice. It's something that I practice, and it's not just like I said on the cushion. I practice it when I'm in meetings with people, really being attentive, being aware of my body. Talking to you now, I'm aware I'm sitting here and listening to you, and you have my attention. Like attention is a big part of this. And for me, one of the people I've met along my way doing these retreats, someone told me the only thing that you have of value to give anyone is your attention. And I truly believe that.
Wow, I love that concept. I've had the pleasure to facilitate programs around listening and empathy and fundamental skills of communication, acknowledgments and clarification and confirmation and being there. To me, it's always felt like, Lainey, like when someone's talking, you can almost get your hands on the words coming off the tips of their tongue. It's like you can almost grab them and put them in your hands.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's what it feels like. That sensation to do that. That's why I was wondering. So the best traits of people who practice this on a day-to-day basis, those are the ones that stand out to you. That can you feel it, right? I mean, I've been to dinner with you. I can remember in the past where I can almost feel like I know ladies could have like smacked me over the top of the head because I probably brought in some of the stuff from 2 prior meetings into my dinner with her and stuff like this. But how can you feel it? Is there something right out of the gate you can tell when you're with somebody and they're not with you?
Yeah, well, you can actually just tell by their body language, you can tell by their attention, you can tell by what their eyes are doing. People that have their attention with you are engaged with you. There's typically more eye contact, and it's still, they're not looking at you, they're taking you in. So, they're not looking around the room, they're not searching for in their head for what's the next thing to say. They're listening, and I truly believe when you listen, what you need to say appears, and it's a different way of thinking. I find that people who come in and are aware and present are usually calm. You can tell they're grounded in a way. Sorry, I'm just they're grounded. They're not easily shaken or triggered. You see a lot of people that get triggered, they hear something and they react. It's typically because they're in their mind and they're not actually open to other possibilities. Relaxed is another thing I would say. They give you space. To me, that's the biggest thing. And it's the thing I work on the most, is to try and hold space for people so I can hear exactly what it is they're saying, because sometimes you need to give them the space to form what it is they're trying to say, because it might be so emotional to them. It might have triggered them so much. You actually just need to listen to them. There are people that also are typically not seeking any type of attention for themselves, and that when I look at someone who's truly present, like who's actually, like you said, you can almost feel their presence in the way that you're interacting with them, is they're not looking for anything outside themselves. They're not searching for something to make themselves whole. They're just holding space to deepen that connection. Does that make sense?
No, it's fascinating. And I almost wish we could create a checklist to go into meetings with people and just to do a summary of how you describe this. There are so many books on this now, and so many people who profess to assist you with meditation and podcasts around it themselves, and just ways to listen and to calm your mind at things. But it's to me, from my life and living in my travels, there's so few people that truly get it at the level that you're talking about. I don't know what you're feeling, but it feels like just the minority of probably that 1 to 5 to 10% of people. What are your thoughts? I mean, how many people really get this, that, from that perspective?
I think, Leo, it's becoming, like you said, there's so much around mindfulness, awareness, meditation, different forms, yoga, even forms of music. There's so much that can move people into this space. And I think that number is going up and up. Like I look around me in my office, and I also think it's contagious. I think when somebody starts to become more mindful, that actually becomes contagious around people. And so it's becoming more present in people's lives. And I believe people are more curious about it. I think I'm hoping it's not a thing that people just want to try and then let go. It really is, for me. I do think, like in my company where I work right now, it was important to me. And so I started, and to the company, that I started holding meditation sessions in our boardroom and expanding that out for people. So what used to be a very small percentage of the population is actually growing. And it's a wonderful thing, because it's something that's readily available to everyone. It really is available to all of us.
Yeah, it's like we're running so hard, doing, working. It's like, it's just the opposite. We can't find the time to pay attention. It's so many things being thrown at us at once, but to literally be in the moment, to truly just pay attention, and to be present, and to be curious, and to be in the moment, and to not to judge when we think, I got to get off this call because I got to do the next thing, whatever.
Yeah.
It's
And
just like,
being relaxed in that, Leo, as well. It's
yeah,
like when you're just like, I need to do, I need to do, I need to do, but it's like I just need to step back and I need to breathe and I need to, because I think we're so caught in the dilemma of having to do, and really mindfulness is about being. It's you don't you yes, in the beginning you're going to practice it and you're going to make time and you're going to sit down, but it's not something you have to come to with any tension or any stress or any a goal. I think that's also one of the challenges people face with it, is they expect to get something when they're at the end of it, and typically the gifts from mindfulness will continue to unfold for you.
yeah, interesting. It's also interesting to me. I remember when we met years ago, and I remember one time you said, "Yeah, I'm heading off to this weekend retreat," and I asked you, I believe, present at the time. Tell me more about it. Where are you going? And you said, "Yeah, it was just a silent meditation. It's a retreat that I'm going to be going away. I'm driving a couple hours, and I'm curious what prompted and motivated you for this type of experience. And my question on this is, in a world of talking and listen, talking and talking, how hard is it not to talk?
It's it's funny because I think it was the concept of me initially going on a silent retreat was not so daunting for myself, but it was quite daunting for my friends and family who wondered how I could do this and go for 7 days without talking. But the thing that prompted me to go was I met somebody who was so present, palpably present, like you said, palpably present. There was a presence around them, and I didn't know what it was. But I knew I wanted that in my life, that calmness, that presence that we were just talking about. And he had mentioned to me that he had been on retreats and silent retreats were good. And I just, that was all I needed. I just saw the presence in this person. And so I decided I wanted to go on a silent retreat. And I signed up for one not too far from you in upstate New York. And I went, and before I knew it, within 3 months of being interested in meditation, I was in a silent retreat. And it's interesting because just because you physically don't talk, just because there's no noise coming out of your mouth, doesn't mean you stop the verbal conversation that's going on in your head. It's always there. And that was a surprise to me, just to see how noisy it was inside my head. And what happened over the course of the 7 days was about between day 3 and 5, it started to slow down. And I was actually getting a little bit fed up with myself through the process. It was just like, can I just not stop? But there were beautiful lands around this place, and you could walk in nature. And what I began to see as this began to slow down was I began to see the world differently. I saw the trees and nature and colors. I was walking and I could feel the effect of being outside. I was, the breeze on my skin, the moisture in the air, the sounds of the birds. That I was actually seeing birds in the sky, and I was seeing the different ways that they flew and that their tails were positioned, and the colors were more vibrant. And it was because there was no preoccupation in my head, and there was more opening to see what was happening around me. And there's a teacher I've been on meditation retreats with, and I still go on meditation retreats. And he would say, the quieter you become, the more you hear, and the more you see, and the more you open your awareness up to.
Wow. I love that. I absolutely love that. The quieter you become, the more that you hear.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a phenomenal life adage right there.
Yeah.
That
And that's actually from Ram Dass, who is someone who is a teacher that I followed and still follow. But yeah.
that's just that's amazing. And I've known you a long time now. I've never heard you accentuate the word about being present by being palpably present. It's like me talking about real value. It's like this, but it's the elevation. You felt that with somebody. There was a different experience for you to actually put the word palpably in front of that,
Yeah.
because I normally don't hear you talk like that. That must have been someone that really blew you away in terms of their attentiveness and literally in an eyeball connection and truly deeply listening during that time with you.
Leo, it was so special. It was so moving in a way that I actually saw through that person and through that moment that there's magic around us. And when I say magic, it was like, oh, the world isn't purely how I perceive it. And that there is more, and that more is available inside me by just becoming more aware, by not living in my own space, in my own beliefs, within my own perceptions, but actually, and it wasn't just the eye to eye engagement with that person. It was almost energetically the room calmed down too. And so it's so special. And I think that's something when you ask me about the traits of people who are mindful, they are calm and they do bring a calming presence. We've all been in a room where someone comes in and they're agitated and they've got an agenda and they're fist pumping, and then the whole team seems to fist pump too. But it's like if someone comes in calm, that also spreads through the room. And I've experienced that multiple times since I've been on this journey.
It's amazing. And it's funny that journey to a silent meditative experience to me manifested when we spoke. And at one point you said, I believe there was one time you took like 3 months and you did a little mini sabbatical. But then I remember in between job changes and things, you said you and your significant other, Todd, said, hey, we're going on a year excursion. I'm taking a year of my life to take a sabbatical. We're traveling around the world. And I'm curious in terms of that decision, that journey, where you went, what you observed, what you learned. Tell us about that.
Well, thanks. Yeah. In 2008, I took a mini sabbatical for myself. I was gone for 3.5 months. And it was when I was at BMO. And been doing the meditation, and I felt like it was time to go deeper. I was seeing so much, this magical kind of this presence I saw in this friend. I was beginning to feel that in myself, and I wanted to go deeper. And I was so blessed that who I was working for at the time. I think you know Dean very well. Dean Majerus supported my request to go on a sabbatical, and I went to India. And one of the reasons I wanted to go and pull myself out of this environment was I was beginning to see myself, and I wanted to see more of myself, but I wanted to see myself in an environment that wasn't my native environment, that was going to put me in a way that I can observe myself outside of all the comforts of the world, outside of having any family or friends around me. So I chose to do this on my own. And I went to India and went to ashrams. I went to meditation retreats. It was kind of like my mini version of Eat, Pray, Love. Back at that point in time, that was just around the time the book was coming out. So it was very interesting to read that after. But it was, for me, seeing myself in an environment where there was no comfort or none of the usual trappings for me. I was able to see how I responded to things. And when you can see that and you can observe that in yourself, you can, I think, come into deeper connection with who you are. So through meditations there, I came much, much closer to nature, much closer to the people that were in the villages around me. I wasn't staying in big cities. I was living in local cultures, trying to feel the cultures, the beliefs, understand how the cultures lived there. And I was in a meditation one day and I saw myself in a glass box that was in the sky. And my office at that time was on the 49th floor of First Canadian Place. And I realized how far away I was from the actual day-to-day life and earth and nature. And it was at that point that something shifted in me and it actually showed me I needed to do something that was going to either bring me closer to nature or bring me closer to myself. So During that, when I returned, I did stay with BMO for a while, but then I moved out to Calgary, and was closer to nature. And I do have to say, at this point, I was thinking I might go and work for a non-for-profit or off the grid or do something. And I realized that just wasn't my life. I can still connect to myself, but I didn't have to withdraw from life. So you can still be a business professional. You can still engage in life and in the things that you're used to in life. You don't have to become a hermit. You can have all of this and you can go deeper into yourself and you can enrich your life that you have. So we went and did that. And then a few years later, I was part of an aggressive hedge fund overthrow in the company. And Todd also had a health scare at that point. And at that point, I'd learned enough to step back and say, what is it that we want in life? This isn't about being on someone else's treadmill. This was about being on our life and on living a life that's aligned to our values and what it was that we wanted to do. And that was a connection, authenticity, reciprocity, all of the things that I spoke about before. It was, how do we bring that into our life, the growth, the caring. And so we decided at that point to take the year, and we did it very different than I think most people would have done it, but we picked different places to go, and we wanted to live locally with people in different cultures that were very different to ours. Um, we went all through Asia again. We did Europe, but we lived in an environment where we could immerse ourselves outside of our culture so we could see ourselves differently. And so for us, it was really around that connection back to what was important for us. And that also enriches your life when you come back into the world.
Wow. I remember you telling me too that one of your observations was that people who had the least were the happiest.
Yeah.
They're living in small little rooms, families, whatever, that maybe the size of our offices or just a little bit bigger. But you said they were so genuinely happy. That
Yeah.
takes me away.
It was so interesting, Leo. I saw this in many countries, but I saw it especially when I've spent more time in India. So I just love India as well. But I saw it in different areas in Cambodia, in Bali, and in different places around the world. And for me, when you come in touch with people and you're living in the villages, and they just look at you, there's this contentedness in their eyes. They're not looking at you for anything most of the time. And I think this is stereotypical because it's not all of the time. But in our world, usually when someone's staring at you, you don't know, you think they want something from you. Whereas I found that this gaze and this contentedness brought this calmness. It's also part of that palpable being present. They're present with what they have. And it was such a gift for me to experience that, to go into the gratitude of everything that I have and being in the moment. And so many people who had nothing taught me so much.
Wow. And it's cool to see how you brought those principles and that journey and those experiences back, as you said, bringing meditation into your work today, introducing it to other individuals in the boardroom and things like that. I can feel that. So you've lived this life. I've just heard the word gratitude. I want to just talk to you about uh, the concept of regrets. When we talk about your next big project being you, the title of this podcast, it embraces things from significance, regrets, and abundance, and gratitude and perspective, and some cool things like this. Let's talk about regrets because I just see you as someone who's experienced life and still does to the utmost of really trying to understand it and to embrace it and be in the moment like this. But do you even have any regrets? Are there any in your life, personally or professionally, that you would be able to share?
It's a really interesting one for me, and I know we've spoken about the different stages of the different questions and stages of the sabbatical. And when I look at regrets, I look back and I actually don't have a lot of regrets. I'm very grateful for my life. I I have an abundance mentality. When I look back and I think about, I love my life where I am today. And as I look back, everything that I've experienced along the way, even the challenges, are what brought me to where I am. So, but I have pondered this because I know you and I have spoken about it in the past. And as I've looked at it, I thought, well, what would it have been like if I had found meditation sooner, if I had found mindfulness sooner? And how would my life have been different? And it brings me back to, would I want my life to be different? Would I want to be anywhere else different than where I am today? And so I'm not sure, had it come to me in my earlier years, that I would have been open for it. Like there was something in that moment that allowed me to see and to receive that presence that made me very open to it. And I don't regret. And so where I do maybe am a little harsher on myself at times, if I see I'm in a situation where I wasn't as present as I could have been, or if I didn't hold that space, I don't chastise myself for it afterwards, but I'll look at it and question and be curious of how could I have been more open.
Wow.
And so for me, it's more of a desire to be my best and continue to open, so I don't have regrets.
Yeah. And I can see how the way you answer that question and the correlation to the theme of gratitude, for instance, you've always mentioned to me when I've checked in on you and Todd, how life is going and things, that you too embrace the concept of gratitude every day. Tell us how you practice that one.
It's this is a really lovely thing. It evolved, I think, after my first sabbatical, and it was really around being grateful at the end of every day. Like there's so much. Like when I came back from that sabbatical of my own, I realized how much that we have in life that we take for granted. And it's a very simple practice. And at the end of every day, Todd and I ask one another what we've been grateful for the day. And it can be something that was like, I had a great interchange with my dad on the phone. I had an amazing lunch that somebody prepared for me. I had a walk today and I saw the sunlight coming through the leaves and the shadow on the ground, and it made me step back in amazement at how beautiful life was. It can be it could be, just appreciating my breath, my health. We take so many things for granted, and many people are thinking about what they don't have and what they need next. And I think this practice that we have every day, I think when we started it, it was a little bit more material, and now it's just the small pleasures of life, and it's the interactions, and it's the love, and it's the support we have around us, and it's the opportunities that we have in front of us, and it's up to us to choose how we're going to make the most of those.
Yeah. You know what's cool, Lainey, what I'm hearing is how much you're living life every second, every minute, every hour, every day. You live it to the fullest by being present and really integrating these concepts of attentiveness and curiosity. And just as you said, you can see it in someone's eyes. And that's
Mhm.
what I love about talking to you. And hopefully the listeners will get a sense of that and develop your own checklists and write them down what Lainey's been talking about here today. All these cool concepts and rate yourself in terms of some of these descriptors that you've been great to share with us. You know, I've got a bunch of cards in the program that I teach, all different cool concepts. And I don't believe, you said there's really no regrets. But when we teach regrets, we talk about the concept of not just if there's anything on your backpack, your life backpack that's carrying you down and you want to just get out of here, throw this sucker out of your life, but also maybe some of the things on your bucket list or things that you want to do that you don't want to turn into a life regret. Yeah, geez, we always wanted to go here. We wanted to do this, or I wanted to assist here. This was something important to me. And I was reading this one question. I was thinking of you. here, and it says, what can you do today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year to rectify any regrets that you have? In your case, sounds like there's little to none. But the second piece of this is, if I had the time with no limitations, I would, or I always wanted to. How would you finish that one today? And what would you always want to do? I know you're building your meditation little getaway, and I believe you're living life to the fullest. But is there anything else in terms that you always wanted to? How would you complete that for yourself?
Um, yeah, I get. You said we're building the place. We're building a retreat for us, right? And so that's actually part of it. Is something in my life I've always wanted to be a custodian of some land, not to destroy it, but to look after it, to commune with it, and to share that with my family and my friends. And I think the older I get, the more we mature, the importance of being around family and friends and really adding value, um, taking away, for me, it's fear. Fear that people have of different aspects of their life from beliefs that they might have in their head. And um, I want to be present, and I want to spend more time with my family, especially as they age, my father in particular, and to let him know there's nothing to worry about, that his life has been amazing and full and rewarding, and he's given me the gift of life, and that I can share what I have learned in life and what I have in life with him and the people that mean the most to me, and that I can hold space for them. It's not about telling them what to do, but it's about holding space and having that space of love and just continuing to make deeper and deeper connections.
Yeah. I love the way to end this in terms of the thinking about your dad, as well as some other things of having friends and family experience life with you in ways that we can be more open and mindful to what it brings. I know personally, I'm a lot better person because of having you as a friend in my life. And you have taught me these principles. And I know that in the spirit of complete transparency, there's too many times where I'm frenetic and running around and doing this. And I know revisiting a discussion with you slows me down, brings me more into that moment. And it really is a gift. I just have to thank you for, and the people that are going to listen to this. So, Leonie, thank you so much for taking the time today to share your wisdom, your insights, your perspectives, your life journey. Much, much appreciated, and unbelievable value to what you brought to us today. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Leo. And I also want to thank you for what you're doing with the sabbatical, because not only are you looking at all aspects of the next part of people's lives, but you're bringing this really important component into it, which is really going to balance and bring a larger awareness to it. So you too are shaping the way that this is moving forward and going out into the world. And I've just been so proud and so pleased and grateful that I've been able to be a part of this in some small way. So thank you very much too.
Thank you, Leonie. Talk to you soon. All the best.